up, everyone? Welcome to Season 2 of Around the Association, presented by the Krause House. We are coming to you live today from beautiful Brooklyn, New York, where the Krause House faithful have descended upon New York City, and where our team, the Ball Hogs, are headlining this weekend's Big Three festivities at the Barclays Center. And we have an absolutely incredible interview lined up for you guys today. We've peaked. We have officially peaked with this episode. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to go ahead and give one anyways because his resume is mind-boggling and it reads like an NBA record book. So without further ado, our guest today scored 25,000 points in his career, holds 22 NBA and ABA records, made 12 All-Star games, was selected to 10 All-NBA and ABA teams, won the NBA scoring title, won the NBA championship, won the NBA Finals MVP. His career NBA Finals scoring average of 36 points per game is the highest in NBA history, 3 points higher than a guy named Michael Jordan. He's a member of the Hall of Fame, as well as the NBA's 50th and 75th anniversary teams. He's the only player in the history of the sport to lead the NCAA, ABA, and NBA in scoring, before the three-point line, I might add. His number 24 is retired by the Golden State Warriors, and he is one of the consensus top 25 greatest players in NBA history. Ladies and gents, Mr. Rick Barry.
Christian, nice to see you, and you did it exactly the way I wrote it, so good job. Actually, we were joking beforehand. You read all this stuff up. I didn't know any of this stuff about my stuff. I just played to win. Okay, and all of a sudden my name's popping up all the time because we're into statistics and analytics, which you do so well. If you folks don't know that, he's unbelievable at analyzing stuff. He breaks down all of our opponents before our games and does a terrific job. And so I see my name popping up, and then he joins a list, so Rick Barry, and I say, I did that? I had no idea. I mean, because everybody's so into this stuff now. It's just amazing. I mean, stuff... It's getting as bad as baseball. Baseball is the one that did it all.
Baseball is the one who started the trend. Yeah. Well, anyways, we really appreciate you taking the time. It's an honor and a privilege to have you on the pod today. So thanks so much for doing this. Before we dive in, you alluded to it a little bit, but I just want to take a step back for a moment and offer a little bit of context about how this all came to fruition. So Rick is the head coach of the Ball Hogs, and last summer, Krause House invested in the Big Three. Actually purchased the Ball Hogs, and we've been involved with the team ever since. And in wanting to prove out the whole concept that a community of fans can contribute and actually provide meaningful value to a professional basketball team's day-to-day operations, I took it as an opportunity to put my basketball analytics background to the use and started putting together weekly scouting and analytics reports on all the Ball Hogs' opponents, which allowed me to get to know Rick. And because I would share those reports directly with Rick, they'd use them for practice. And I guess it's worked or something of that nature, because here we are.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's interesting to see those things and know what tendencies are of other players, to know what they prefer to do and what situations. I mean, I had done something years ago with Jordan Cohn. We did a book that we really broke down all of the teams. It was great, but oh my God, I mean, I can't even imagine how much time and effort you put into it, because the work that we had to put in to do that and analyze something, and 86% of the time, if he gets the ball in a low block, he tends to go to his left shoulder. And I mean, so it's just crazy what you can find out about people. And it's good information to have, but I'm still a big believer that you have to be able to adjust on the fly. And the game is a game of reaction basketball. And so you have to read the defense. Like I tell my players, when I've coached in the minor leagues and even here in the Big Three, and I did it yesterday at practice, you have to read the defense. Take what the defense gives you. A play is only designed to put you all in the same spot so you know where you are, you know what you're going to try to do. But if the defense does something different and you can take advantage of that, you take advantage of that. You don't try to run the play. You take what the defense gives you. And that's a hard thing sometimes for players to do, and learning how to set your man up and learn that if he's leaning and makes just a little body motion, just like this way, I'm going to own him because I'm getting him to do that when I'm going to go that way. Yeah. Okay. So by the time he stops that little motion, I've got a half a step on him. And in basketball, you don't have to get by a guy. Yeah. You get him on your shoulder, you own him. And so it's the little subtle things that I don't think are being taught in the game today that help give you an edge over your opponent.
That's really interesting. Actually, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, something seems off. I feel like we're missing something. Let me see here. Oh, hold on. Here it is.
Oh boy, you got the Warriors jersey. There we go. Oh, that's the Mitchell and Ness one too. That's one of their nice ones.
This feels a little bit better here. Why don't I go ahead and throw this bad boy on here?
Yeah, that's a very heavy jersey. I'll tell you that right now. But this is the first one they started coming out with these little holes in it and stuff. But I'll tell you what's bad about this. They have this thing you can sign nicely, but they have some of the jerseys with the holes. Boy, you try to sign those jerseys with the pen, and your pen gets caught in the holes, and it's not easy.
Well, we may have to have somebody sign this part later on.
I might do that for you.
Here we go. Official 1966-67 Rick Barry Golden State Warriors throwback jersey.
The city, yeah, it was it was the biggest seller for quite a while because it was really cool. It's the first one that came up, and they were creative and imaginative, and came up with the golden, the bridge, and then if the people saw the back, you got the cable car in the back. So you show them, save them the cable car. Yeah, cable car to the stars, right? There you go, San Francisco.
There you go. There's a little history lesson for you guys. But when I figured out that we were going to be doing this today, I had to make sure I dressed for the occasion.
Okay, that's great.
And so
it's a good team, good number.
There we go. Yeah, actually, how did you choose a number 24?
Willie Mays. I was a baseball player growing up. I was a better baseball player in high school. I was an all-state baseball player. I was better in baseball than I was in basketball, but it's too slow for me. I'm an A-type personality, and I realized, I played center field because why? Willie Mays. Okay, so I want to play center field. My father taught me how to catch the basket catch when I first was a kid. And who comes up as a rookie that year? Willie Mays with the basket catch. I thought, there's my guy. Turned out to be great, and so. So that's what it was, and so he was my hero, and I wore 24 because of it. And then I got that. This is why America is such a great country. I wound up having my boyhood hero in sports. Elgin Baylor was the guy I turned to when I went to basketball, but I got to be personal friends with Willie Mays, my boyhood hero, and was invited to go to his 80th birthday celebration at Bally's in New Jersey, at the casino and hotel. And I get a call from his guy. He says, Rick, Willie, he wants you to be there. I said, really? He said, all these Hall of Fame baseball people are there, and you're going to be on the dais. He says, yeah, but he also wants you to speak. Only 3 guys are speaking. He wants you to be a speaker, and he wants you to be the first guy speaking, and he wants you to tell the story of how you met him.
Gosh.
And so I get up there, there's like 2,500, 3,000 people crowded into the ballroom, and I get to the microphone, and I say to the folks, I said, I can bet you that I know exactly what every single one of you is thinking right now. What the hell is he doing here? And I'm trying to figure that out myself. I said, why am I here with all of these illustrious Hall of Fame baseball players celebrating Willie Mays? I said, well, here's why. Willie Mays is my hero. And I tell him the story about he was my hero, the basket catch, all that. And I tell him the story of how I met him. So I was in public school, and no, I was in parochial school, and the public school was having a teacher's day, and so they were off. And it was during the week, and it happened to be an early baseball game at the Polo Grounds with the Giants.
Yeah.
I said, oh my God, was the PAL was doing the Police Athletic League. So I cut school to go on the trip, to go to the game, to go and see Willie Mays. So when the game's over, the Giants back in the Polo Grounds, their clubhouse was not the dugout where they go into the clubhouse. It was in center field with stairs going up. And the game's over, and the Giants win the game, and they were it's a home team, and so they're there, and it's 3 outs in the 9th inning. So Willie's starting to go to the clubhouse. I dropped over the wall in left field and sprinted out to get him before he got up the stairs. Got to shake his hand, ran back before I got caught by the security people. They yanked me up. My friends yanked me up. Got to the bus, got home. So now I get home, and it's it's late, late afternoon or whatever. And usually back then you didn't get out of school until like after 3 o'clock or whatever it is. So I go in the house. My brother was in the public school, and so he's sitting there. And I walk in the house, and my mom worked, my dad worked, and he says, so how was the game today? I said, what are you talking about? I said, school. He said, no, you were at the game. I said, no, I wasn't at the game. He said, yeah, you were. I saw you on television. I said, what? He said, yeah. He said, they zoomed in on this kid that dropped into the field from left field, sprinting out to shake Willie's hand. They zoomed in, and it was you. I said, oh, my God, don't tell mom or dad, please. And my brother, thank God, didn't tell my mom and dad, so I didn't get in trouble for that. But that's how I met Willie Mays. And then here I am talking at his 80th birthday, and one of the 3 people only speaking about him. So that's pretty cool. I mean, you just think about how amazing that is to have, how many people have a boyhood hero in sports or in anything in life, and you get a chance to not only get to meet them, but get to be personal friends with them. That was pretty cool.
Did he remember that at all?
Oh, of course. He told the guy, Rick that I want Rick to speak, to tell him to tell the story how he met me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that was cool.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Because you're a New Jersey guy, so not too far from here.
Born and raised I was born in Elizabeth and raised most of the time. I went to high school, moved to Roselle Park for high school, so I wasn't very far away. And so I was always a big fan. I was a fan for the New York Giants, the baseball team, the New York Giants football team.
Mm-hmm.
I was never a Dodgers fan. I was never a Yankees fan.
Really?
No, I was totally with the Giants and then the Knicks, of course, in basketball, which that was another big thing for me. I never forgot the fact that they had a chance to draft me and they didn't. And they drafted Bill Bradley instead of me, and I never forgot that. And the owner, who was Ned Irish, I think at the time, said they asked him if he was going to draft me because I led the nation in scoring.
Yeah.
And they said, no, he's too skinny and flaky. Well, I didn't appreciate that. I mean, now, he may have been correct, but I didn't appreciate him saying it. So every time I played the Knicks, I had great incentive to want to play well. And during my career, I had a lot of big games against the Knicks. Yeah, I'm not a vindictive person, but I also have a good memory, you know.
Well, so that's actually because you were drafted in '65, right? Mm-hmm. And you were the second overall pick.
Yeah, it's the only time in the history of the NBA that they took the worst team in the East and the worst team in the West. Uh-huh. They flipped a coin. The winner picked first and fourth, the loser second and third. They've never done that before to try to help the teams to get better. And the Knicks chose Bill Bradley and the Warriors, and I still to this day don't know definitively if my name was mentioned, because they didn't have a big TV thing and everybody saw it. I mean, I got a phone call. I was doing something, I was back and doing something at my high school or something. I got a phone call. They called me and found me, not with no cell phones, of course. And they found me at my parents' house. And they said, just want to let you know that the Warriors drafted you.
Think about how different it is.
And that's what it was. And so, and how different. Well, today it's a big deal. And, the guys get multi-million-dollar contracts. They become a millionaire if you're one of the top picks. And in my case, they offered me $12,500. But I don't, that's what, $12,500. That's the first pick for that team. And either the second or third pick. I don't know if it was second or third. Fred Hetzel was the other guy. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if they said Hetzel first and me, but it's irrelevant because two picks are basically the same. And then the Knicks took Dave Stallworth from Wichita State. And so, I always remember that. But it was a different world back then. And, as I say, no no-cut contracts and no agents. I did negotiate, though. I got him up to $15,000, and I got a whopping $3,000 signing bonus.
Oh, my gosh.
So, and you know what? I was as happy as a pig in slop. I mean, seriously, I couldn't believe that I was going to make $18,000 playing basketball. To think about it. But it's gotten so crazy. I used to tell everybody this one. I just figured something out. The lowest paid guy in the NBA this past season made twice as much money as I made in the best year I have, and he never plays.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying never, hardly will ever play. Sit on the bench and practice and travel around and get per diem and whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's worse than that when I figured it out. The guys that have max contracts, okay? The guys that have max contracts, they actually make more money playing one game than I made in my best paid season. Yeah. One game. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy. I can't even fathom this. Unbelievable. I could play one game and make more than I made in the best year I had playing an entire season.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I remember, I think it was Steph Curry signed the first $40+ million contract per season, which over an 82-game schedule, that means he's making $500,000 per game.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's unbelievable.
No, that's what I'm saying. When I look at it, that's even crazier than saying that the lowest paid guy made this. No, the guys who have max contracts, which I think if I was today, I'd have a max contract. They make more money. Oh my God, what do you do with all that money? Seriously.
So I've always been curious. So guys like yourself, legends of the game, who played now in decades ago, how do you guys think about, do you guys have any, I don't want to say ill will or anything, but
no, I don't.
Are you jealous?
No. Hey, these guys should be giving me a freaking percentage for what I did.
That's true.
Because I'm the one that opened up free agency for them.
So that's one of the things I actually
I take 1/4%, and I'd be a multi-millionaire.
Absolutely. No, so you can have the Rick Barry clause in every free agency contract.
It's like crazy, man.
So one of the things that, I don't know if a lot of people know this nowadays, but you're one of the founding fathers of unrestricted free agency.
Well, yeah, I was Kurt. Well, it was before Kurt Flood.
Yeah,
it did baseball. It was the reserve clause, which basically was a contract, if people don't understand, of perpetuity. Yeah. Once you sign that contract, the clause in there states that the next year, if you don't come to an agreement on your contract, you are obligated to play the next season. at 90% of what you made the previous season.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was unbelievable.
So it's basically
it's like
restricted free agency.
Well, no, not even, no. It's not, no, there was no free agency. No, you were tied to that team. You had no choice to do anything but play for that team. And so you had to try to get a better deal.
Yeah.
But if they didn't want to give you a better deal, you still had to play for that team the next year at 90% of what you made the previous year. It was crazy. And that was before Kurt Flood. And so the NBA was very upset with the Warriors because they said, no, we have an option on your services. I said, no. I said, okay, fine. You have an option on my services. So great, I'll give you the option, but I'm not going to play. Mm-hmm. So I sat out.
Well, because you wanted to go play for the Oaks in the ABA, right?
Yeah, well, it was just, it wasn't about the money. I could have gotten whatever I wanted from the Warriors. Mm-hmm. It was the principle of it. I mean, but the big thing was that basketball has always been fun. I love basketball. And we came within 2 pick and roll plays with the great 76er team with Wilt Chamberlain and Hal Greer and Billy Cunningham and Luke Jackson and unbelievable. Mm-hmm. Larry Costello, Matty Gukas is on that team, Wally Jones. And people say it's one of the best teams in the history of the NBA that year. Sure. And 2 pick and roll plays with Nate Thurman and myself with Wilt Chamberlain involved. Had they gone our way, we might have won in 6 games. That's how close it was. And I played that entire series with a really, really badly sprained ankle. I'm so lucky that I didn't ruin my career because I got shot up before the game and at halftime to play. They would never let anybody do that now. And I'm just thinking, man, what could I have done if I had been healthy? And, because I couldn't practice. I don't think I shot the ball as well as I could have. I mean, and I averaged, 40 points a game. Uh-huh. And so, yeah, that always back and haunts me. But that's how close we came to being, a really great basketball team back in those days. So, anyway, it's the past. It was a great experience getting to play against all of those people, and I just was disappointed because I was about winning. That's all I cared about. I didn't care. I never went out to try to score. I'm going to go out and try to get 50 tonight.
Just happened naturally.
I just go out. I played. My father taught me when I got the ball, I was aggressively looking for a way to score. And I would try to do that, provided I didn't have a teammate in a better position. If that's the case, I'm going to get the ball to my teammate.
Yep.
And truthfully, I tell people I had more enjoyment making a pass to a teammate for an easy basket than I did scoring myself. I really enjoyed that. In fact, if I could play today, I'd be a point guard. Because I was quicker than our guards, and I was quick and fast at my size, which was unusual back in those days. And all I would have to do is just get a little better ball handling because they didn't allow you to do all the stuff they do now. I mean, if you did all that stuff, a coach would put you on the bench, through the legs, behind the back, all the other stuff.
Well, there's the carry.
But I could, you can carry now. And back then you couldn't carry the ball. I mean, carry is a joke, some of the things people do now, and that and traveling and the extra step and all the other stuff. Yeah. But I would really want to be a point guard because you really control. I was called like the first point forward.
That's what I had written down here. Yeah.
And I enjoyed that because I'd get a rebound and I'd take it off the floor and try to create some offense. So it was fun. But that's what I would want to do. I would want to be a point guard.
So you really were the first point forward in NBA history. And I was looking back at this. You were the first small forward, I believe, to have 500 assists in a single season.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know that. See, that's another one of those things. I mean, so that's I'll add that to the list of things that I did that I didn't know I did.
Well, now you got guys like LeBron James, Giannis, Jokic, all these big guys that are facilitators now. You were truly the first point forward in NBA history.
Yeah, more than likely, because that's what people said, being a point forward. I said, well, I just played the game the way I was taught how to play the game, and if you can handle the ball. Everybody said, man, he could handle the ball. I said, handle the ball? I said, I could dribble righty, lefty, and do a crossover. That was the extent of my freaking ball handling skills. But I could see, I did have a feel for the game, and I saw the floor. I had great court vision, and I really took a lot of pride in being a good passer and trying to help create opportunities for my teammates. Probably one of the things that I did that a lot of players didn't do is I always told my teammates, I said, if you see me going up for a jump shot and you're down near the basket, do not take your eyes off me until you see me shoot. Because if your man turns his head, I'm liable to throw it right by his ear and give you a layup. And I did that. In fact, I remember one of that type of pass I actually did. It was a big pass in Game 7 against Chicago at home in the Western Conference Finals in 1975. When I was stinking up the gym and Al Ados took me out of the game halfway through the third quarter. I was like 2 for 14, and we're trailing by double digits. And I always tell everybody the greatest coaching move Al Alda's ever made was benching me in Game 7. And kept me out for a significant period of time for the rest of the quarter and even into the fourth quarter. And then I came in, and I knew I had nowhere to go. Back then, the GOAT was the guy that screwed up, not the greatest of all time. I'm so sick of this GOAT, the greatest of all time. First of all, let's get this straight, folks. There is no such thing as a GOAT in a team sport. You can only pick a player by position. The skills required to play every position are a little bit different. So you can't say, what are you going to say? You're telling me LeBron James or Magic Johnson or Kareem or somebody better than Wilt Chamberlain? That's crazy. It makes no sense whatsoever. So talk about people in their own era. Don't compare eras, because if we were playing today as good as we were, we would be better because we had nothing. These guys have strength coach, agility coach, dietitians. It's unbelievable what they have. Private. We have nothing. Yeah. I'm talking zero. We had to do anything we did was all on our own. Mm-hmm. And so, that's a big difference in today's game and our game. So, but it was great. If I had to do it over again, I'd do it over. The only thing I would change, because I don't live in the past, is that if I had to do it over and I knew I could be where I am today with the amazing wife that I have and the incredible youngest son of mine, Canyon, and the friends that I have made over the years, and I knew I could be in this position, mm-hmm. I would not have left the NBA. I think my I don't know, whatever it is, my recognition as far as a player is concerned would have been dramatically higher had I stayed in the NBA. I think a lot of people held that against me. I think the NBA has, because it changed everything for them. Just the contracts alone. It was crazy what it did. Yeah. And I don't think they were happy. Come on, I was first team All-Pro my first 2 years. Yeah. People say, hey, he was Rookie of the Year. I said, screw Rookie of the Year. Shit, I was first team All-Pro as a rookie. What the hell is Rookie of the Year? That's nothing compared to being first team All-Pro. I have a plaque from Sporting News sitting there for the first team All-Pro my rookie year, and I'm looking at the pictures, and there's Wilt Chamberlain's there and Jerry West, and I said, and me. What the hell am I doing there? These are all heroes of mine. And so it's crazy, the stuff that happens in basketball. And so I did that, and then I lead the league in scoring. I'm the MVP of the All-Star game, and I left the league.
It's unbelievable.
Seriously, I'm thinking, what the hell were you thinking about, you moron? But I just didn't have a good time, and I had a chance to go and play then for the man who was my father-in-law at the time, but also was my college coach who helped prepare me to be the player that I was in the pros.
Hill?
Yeah. And so, so it was very interesting. And, everybody talks about, Rick, very money hungry. No, bullshit. It wasn't about money. I didn't leave because of money. I could have gotten just as much money from the Warriors. And it was because, and I did feel I owed him something. Rick has no sense of values. No, I said, here's the deal. I told Pat Boone, I said, here, give me your best offer. I'm going back to the Warriors. And if the Warriors come anywhere close to matching what you're offering me, I'm going to stay. Mm-hmm. I think I owe that to them. And they didn't. They lowballed me. So it was meant for me to go over and go to the ABA. That's what God had in store, and so that's what happened. But it didn't have to happen. If they had offered me what they offered me after I turned them down and committed to them, it would have been a different story. And so most people don't understand that, because I am a man of principle, mm-hmm. and I felt I owed that to the Warriors. And I really liked Franklin Muley a great deal. I liked him. I loved the city. I loved my teammates. And we had one of the best teams in the world. Yeah. And I played with one of the great centers, in the game, in Nate Thurman, who was a dear friend who's unfortunately no longer with us. So, there's a misconception, I think, about me as to who I am as a person. And but the thing is I know who I am, and the people who know me know who I am, and so I just can't let that stuff back. You got to be like, let water run off your back like a duck or something, or be an armadillo, and just let it bounce off.
Absolutely. Well, so actually you touched on a couple things that I had noted that I wanted to talk about. First off, you talked about making first team All-NBA as a rookie. And then, so I was looking back on these 66 and 67 All-NBA teams, and it was one of my favorite things to do in looking at your resume. The 1967 All-NBA teams. First team All-NBA, Wilt Chamberlain, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, Rick Barry.
Yeah, it's like crazy. These are some of the icons of the game. These are guys that I admired so much. In fact, when I came in the league, there were only, I think, 3 players maybe making $100,000. That was my goal. My goal was to hopefully become a good enough player to make $100,000. And now it's so far beyond that. It's almost inconceivable to me, what it is. $100,000 is nothing. Absolutely nothing. Yeah. And, you're talking about $250 million or more 5-year guaranteed contracts for these guys. And it's hard to fathom that somebody is willing to pay someone that kind of money to do that. I joked with my mom, God rest her soul. I said, Mom, why couldn't you wait about 10 years before you had me? I mean, she said, shut up. You're lucky I had you in the first place. I said, Mom, I said, if you had waited and done that, I said, I would have made so much money. I could have built that house you wanted with the perfect thing so you could have seen the sunrise when you got up in the morning in your kitchen, and it sent you on cruises. And
Well, it was your generation that paved the way.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things, too, a second team All-NBA that year, the guys that you beat out, Bill Russell, Jerry Lucas, Willis Reed, Hal Greer, and Sam Jones.
Yeah, I Sam. I miss Sam. I got to know Sam really well after we retired. Went on cruises, stuff with him. I loved him. He was such a great guy. Just an awesome player, obviously, but just a great person. But yeah, those are other outstanding players. There's no question about it. I got to play in my career again. I mean, I actually played my last season against Bird and Magic.
What was that?
They were rookies.
What was that?
Yeah, it was great to to have a chance to do that, because I played in 3 different decades, the 60s, 70s, and 80. I got into 80. 79, 80 was my last year. So I played against Bird as a rookie, and Magic. Got to see those guys, and I came so close to being either a Celtic or a Laker, very close in my last at the end of my career. And just to show you how the NBA has changed, now they have 17 players on their rosters, 15 active 2-on-2-way guys, right? 17. Mm-hmm. In my day, in 1980, the NBA cut their rosters from 12 to 11 to save money. From 12 to 11. Otherwise, if that hadn't happened, I probably more than likely would have been a Boston Celtic. Yeah. I would have done what so many guys like Bill Walton did, and Scotty Wedman, and a lot of the guys went and Tiny Archibald became Celtics for a year. And I would have been there, and I could have been there. I would have been able to play back up to Bird or play with Bird at some time. It would have been really interesting. I could have really helped them, and I could have helped the Lakers a lot too, I think, because I could still play, even though people said, wow, this looking, he only scored like 12 or 13 points in his last 2 years. Yeah, but because I was willing to take a subservient role on a team to help them win. I mean, I had 2 Hall of Fame guys I'm playing with, Moses Malone and Calvin Murphy, and other great players. Mike Newland was a great player. I love Mike today. I'm in touch with Mike all the time, and had Mike Dunleavy, who could shoot the hell out of it, and we had a heck of a basketball team.
Your days with the
yeah, and I was playing point guard basically then, because I'm out there passing the ball to Moses, Rudy Tomjanovich, another great shooter and player and great guy. I'm passing to Rudy, I'm passing to Mike, I'm passing to Calvin, passing to him. And so I didn't shoot much. And so, he can't play. So I tell him, I said, just look back and look at this. So one game in the 2 years I was there, Calvin was sick. Fortunately, he was not sick very often. So I started at the 2 instead of playing the 3. Mm-hmm. And so I started at the 2. Why they didn't start Mike instead of me, whatever, the coaches did it. So I'm playing the 2 spot. Well, the 2 spot was set up for get shots. Mm-hmm. It was for the 5, the 4, and the 2. Mm-hmm. Not the 3, okay? Or the point guard. So in that game, I had 25 shots and scored 37 points. Wow. So I'm saying to myself, please, don't tell me that I can't play anymore. I said, I can still freaking play. And it's just that I'm willing to do what you're asking me to do. Yeah. And so people just had no clue about that if I had been on another team at all, I could have been a 20-point or more game scorer. Easy.
Well, you talk about 20. There were points in your career where you were a 35 and 40 point per game scorer.
Yeah, I could do that depending on the team. I'm saying I just wanted to win. Yeah. Okay. If I had to go, if somebody needed, and they needed, and I needed to I wasn't thinking the point total, but it wound up that 40 points. Somebody had to put them up, and I could do that. I could get 40. I could get 50. But I didn't care. If I got 8 and we won, I'd be happier getting 8 to win than getting 40 and lose. Mm-hmm. I hated losing. I absolutely hated losing. When I see some of these games, and I get into broadcasting, and you see the bench, and the team is getting freaking hammered, and you see 2 guys on the bench talking and laughing and joking, what the hell? If I was a coach, at a team or a general manager, and I would tell my players, guys, we're watching you all the time. If I see you, I am warning you right now, if I see you on the bench during a game when our team is losing, and especially losing badly, and you're joking and thinking like having a great time sitting on the bench, you're going to get fined. That's not the attitude that you should have. It's not about you. It's about this team. And if you're not upset, but your team is being embarrassed out there, then there's something wrong with you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. Nowadays, you have, guys obviously are making a ton of money, but there's almost incentive now. If you're not one of the top few teams in the league who is competing for the title, there's almost incentive to quote unquote tank and try to get the better draft pick. And I'm curious, what's your thoughts on
the worst thing ever? I hate it. I mean, there should be big fines. I think the NBA's try to crack down on it and do that. This is where, okay, I'm going to give you another. This is a great thing. Team sports in the United States missed the boat. The owners missed the boat. Every team sport missed the boat. This is professionalism. Mm-hmm. You should have money on the line in every game that you play. And what they should have done is have a maximum number of dollars. Let's take, for instance, now let's just take one of my favorite players. Let's take Steph Curry. Mm-hmm. So Steph's making $50 million a year. Okay, so whatever, 50. All right. Maximum $5 million guaranteed for a player, which is almost obscene to me, and just that alone. Mm-hmm. So $5 million is the max you can get. So every other player has to go in and get their agent now, negotiate how much max money should you be entitled to. Mm-hmm. Then, here's where it comes. Realistically, based upon the talent that we have, how many wins would we be able to get during a regular season? Okay, let's just take a number and say it for a good team that's pretty good, 50. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you negotiate 50. Steph Curry, he's got his $5 million. 50 games we should win. So for every win that we get, Steph Curry is going to get $700,000, whatever it is. That's 50 wins. That's $42 million. Now he's got 47. So he can be close to the $50 million, right? Yeah. No, it's not incentive. The incentive is to win. It's based upon winning. And so every player has money on the line on every game that's played. Yeah. The two worst teams in the league can play the last game of the season. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, it's going to be like seventh game of the playoffs. Why? Because these guys, they want the money, don't they? I mean, they're going to play hard. Why? Because if they don't and they lose, they don't get paid. Guys get hurt. You think guys are going to get hurt? If they're going to get hurt, they're not going to rehab like crazy? Because if they're hurt and the team's losing, it's costing them a huge amount of money.
Yeah.
Okay? So if every team sport had that, it would change dramatically. The intensity of the competition would be off the freaking charts. And it would change the game for the better. All games, it would change it for the better. And now you talk about, like you say, guys, what do you care? I'm getting paid, doesn't matter. Oh, yeah, okay, fine, no big deal. I'm getting my money. Who cares whether you win or lose? A lot of them like that. They're playing for the money. They don't matter if they win or lose. Yeah, great. I mean, playoff money. What's playoff money when you're making $50 million a season? What's the playoff? Yeah. Nothing. Pocket change.
You had an interesting, I was watching an interview you did a couple of years ago, actually, with Colin Cowherd on his show, and you had an interesting idea for how they should restructure the draft, and how you think that you were talking about how the top pick should actually go to not the worst team in the league, but the best team who didn't make the playoffs. Can you elaborate on that a little bit and why you think that should be the case?
Well, because you want to keep it competitive. I mean, before it was like, it's like, who's there? Okay, you're going to have 3 teams in the West and 4 teams in the West, 3 in the East that maybe have a chance of winning. Mm-hmm. Try to improve everybody in the process. I mean, anything you can do to keep the competitive level high is good, and it's happened somewhat. Teams are getting to the point now, but what's happened now, the guys are all moving to do it. I have no problem with guys leaving to go and get a championship. Mm-hmm. Problem is, it's gotten so crazy now that guys are doing it for money. Mm-hmm. It's about the money. Where are they going to make the money? And it especially happens for guys. See how many times this year, if teams have won it, if you've been on a team and you are the championship team and you have a chance now to go to a team to make some really good money, you're going to leave that team.
Yeah, because there's the whole idea, well, the guy's already got his ring, so now he can chase
now you go chase the money. Yeah. And that's what's happening. They're chasing the freaking money. Yep. And which, to me, how much money do you need? I mean, like, I still can't, I've said this many times. Someday, somehow, and God, he's not with us anymore. I love Kobe. I really like Kobe a lot as a person. I just enjoyed my time spending time with him. He's always been so nice, and it was so tragic. I had said that, when those guys got older, they may be sitting around saying, what the hell were we thinking? Why did we not stay together? To stay together and to know that you had one of the great dynasties ever in the history of your sport, You already have enough money for 50 lifetimes.
Yeah.
I mean, it shouldn't be about the money anymore. And I still, to this day, don't understand how Kevin Durant left the Warriors. I mean, oh my God, to be able to play on a team with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, and it could have been one of the greatest teams in the history. I mean, they were for just a few years. But the number of championships. Just think of how many more championships the Warriors could have won if they had that team had stayed together.
Well,
Seriously,
that's an interesting point to bring up, because I feel like there's a fine line between wanting to compete and wanting to win championships and be the best team possible. But then do you draw the line at some point with joining almost a team that had already won a championship, joining a super team like Durant did in 2016? What was your thought on him actually leaving to go?
I had no problem with it. He left to go to win a championship.
Yeah.
I mean, he was on the other team. They came close. You know, they had a shot against the Warriors. They gave away a series that they should have beaten the Warriors.
3-1 lead.
And so people criticized him, and I said, no, I have respect for that. The guy's already a multi-millionaire. Mm-hmm. He's willing to go, he wants to go to a team to win. Mm-hmm. And in his case, he was so lucky, he's got a 2-time MVP who was willing to let him come in and let him be the guy. And Steph Curry, I mean, come on, Steph Curry deferred. They went to Kevin Durant.
They did.
I mean, to go and be on a team like that, oh my gosh. That would have been just incredible. That's why I look back on it, as I'm saying, if I had stayed with the Warriors, no telling how good we could have been, and when I left. But I left because we came almost winning the championship, MVP of the All-Star game. You know, I played so well, but I didn't have fun. My coach, Bill Sharman, great, terrific guy. But he made us do all this stuff that he used to do. I said, hey, Bill, I said, you might have liked to do that. I don't like to get up early in the freaking morning and go shoot around. He started these morning shoot around things, which basically were just to get you out of bed. I know why it was, because we went in jeans.
Really?
And shirts. Yeah, it was no. Now it's a full scale freaking workout, and everybody copied it because the Warriors went and we went to the finals, and let's just do this, and then the shoot around became everybody's doing the shoot around. That's a great thing for the guys who don't play.
Yeah.
But I'm playing 40-something minutes a game. The last thing I want to do is, why do I want to use any energy at all at 10 o'clock in the morning when I know I have to play that night?
Yeah.
Get me out of bed. Let's have a meeting in a meeting conference room or something. We walk through our plays so we know what we're doing. Get me out of bed. But don't ask me to use energy.
Yeah.
I don't want to use any energy. Let me save my energy for the freaking game. I mean, so anyway, that's the kind of stuff that happens in the NBA. And Bill Sharman did that. And, he was mad at me during the playoffs because I wasn't practicing and I wouldn't get shot up to practice. I said, Bill, are you kidding me? I said, yeah, you should be thrilled that I'm willing to have my freaking ankle injected before a game and at halftime so I can go out and play, and you want me to do that for practice? I said, that's not happening.
Things that wouldn't fly these days.
No, they would never even let me do that for the games these days. They wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so lucky that I didn't just ruin my career and screw up my ankle so bad. Mm-hmm. I was really, really lucky. Very, very lucky.
Well, so you talk about needing to save the energy for the games. I was going back and I was reading about those 67 finals against Wilt Chamberlain in the 76ers. Yeah. Aside from the point that you averaged 41 points per game in those finals, which was a record that stood for 3 decades.
Well, it still would be the record because the only reason Michael beat me is Michael played an overtime game where he scored 8 points. If it wasn't for that, he'd be behind me.
He beat you by 1 point, one total point in the series overall.
Yeah, overall point, which is like a tenth or whatever the hell it is. And it's because he had 8 points in an overtime. We didn't play an overtime game. Yeah. And so, but again, who cares? Okay, we lost. What the hell? We lost. I mean, I would have rather, I would have rather scored 15 points a game and had won than get 41 and not be the champion.
Well, so the point that I wanted to make, Wilt Chamberlain had an interesting quote about you. He said about you, the guy was so good that we had to put 3 different guys on him at different times because you were running his team ragged.
I was in great shape. I kept myself in great shape, was always in good shape. I took a little time off after the season was over, but I ran. I ran the hills in San Francisco. I could run forever.
They called you the
Miami Greyhound. I was Bill King, because I came from playing Miami. Yeah, I could run. I was fast. I was quick. I could run all day. And this was in great shape. And got to know Wilt after we retired. What a great guy. I mean, it was so sad that he passed away, but I got to spend some really quality time. Got to see his crazy house up in the hills in L.A. that then the roof opens over his bed. And I mean, Wilt was quite the character. I mean, he loved cars. He had a car, American car, that he put the seat all the way back, and he had it souped up big time. And he used to love to pull up next to Lamborghinis and Ferraris and stuff and just blow their wheels off. I mean, he was quite the character. I really, have great memories of Wilt Chamberlain and a lot of the players, Nate Thurman, that I played with, and teammates that I've had over the years. Because it's like that. Because you're especially on your team, you're really like a family. The year we won in '75. We were like a family. I mean, we went to the movies together, we ate together, we had great guys who cared about winning, which was the great thing as far as I was concerned. And it was awesome. In fact, I'm so excited because finally, almost 50 freaking years later, they're actually going to do a documentary about the greatest upset in the history of the NBA Finals with a team that wasn't supposed to be even in the freaking playoffs, that was picked to do nothing. And we pull off the biggest upset in the history of major sports in our country. Football, baseball, basketball. I tell people, I defy you to find something that a team was as big a nobody at the start of the season that got to the finals and supposed to be the biggest mismatch in the history of the sport and sweep the team that was supposed to sweep us. It's never happened. Everybody brings up the Jets in football. This is BS. They play Super Bowl. The Jets were picked to be one of the best teams in the AFL. Miracle Mets. No, the Mets weren't picked to be just a horrible team and pull off a sweep and do something in the finals. And nobody has done anything. And I feel badly because I was MVP. I got recognition in all what we did. But my team has never been given the credit that it deserves. We epitomized what a team is supposed to be about with what we accomplished in '75. And I'm praying that whatever they're putting together, I told them, I said, look, I was trying to and I had some powerful people ready finally to do it, but my teammate Charles Dudley had already started doing something and he wanted to do it because he was successful and was an executive at Costco. And I called him up and said, Charles, I heard you're doing this. I had people ready to do it. I said, look, I'm not going to try to step on your toes or anything, but I said, I will do this only if I can get to talk to whoever's doing the production of this and talk to them and tell them that I want to make sure that the focus on this is not about me, that it's about the team and the players on the team and what we accomplished as a team. And so I'm looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully it's going to come out. Maybe it'll be out in the fall. And I'm hoping the Warriors will do a big deal and have a premiere and let the fans come and put it in Chase Center and make it into a big deal. I hope that's going to happen.
That's great. Speaking of your team, I had a question that I wanted to ask. Who was your favorite teammate that you ever had?
Clifford Ray. Well, I mean, it's simple.
Why was that?
Because he's such a great person. We're like brothers, and he had prostate cancer and some other things, and he asked me if I would take care of his son if something happened to him, which I signed on, and I did. Thank God that didn't have to happen. His son Everett has grown up and is a successful young man, but yeah, we're like brothers. We fish together all the time. We both love to fish. We go on fishing trips. In fact, I finally getting him to go to the Amazon to go peacock bass fishing with me next year in January, and we went to Alaska many times, and we've been fishing in a lot of places. But just a dear friend. We really are like brothers, and so I had a lot of great teammates. A lot of guys that I have great respect for and still stay in touch with. But Clifford was special, and I tell people, I was not the most valuable player of the Golden State Warrior basketball team. We don't win the championship without Clifford Ray.
Wow.
For lots of reasons.
Wow. Well, as the one who actually won MVP of the series, that's admirable and incredibly selfless of you to say.
No, it's the truth. I mean, without him talking to those guys and trying to explain to them, he called a meeting with the team before the season started that I didn't even have any idea. He didn't tell me about it till after everything was done. I mean, that might have even been a year, or I don't know. I didn't know. And I said, did you call a meeting? He said, yeah. He said, I called him into a meeting. And he said to him, I said, well, what did you say? He said, I want to know who in this room can go out and get us 35 or 40 every night. And he said, we got somebody that can do that. Now, he's a little crazy, I said, but don't worry. I said, all he wants to do is win. And so, and anything, whatever he says or does anything, don't take it personal because it's all about winning. And so he got them to understand me a little bit because he got to know me. And I think that was a huge factor for it because, I could be demanding. But then I hear about, Rick Barry was terrible, his teammates. The guy who was terrible, his teammates, is Michael Jordan. You ever hear some of the things that he said to his teammate? He was hard on his teammate.
In The Last Dance.
Oh my God! I mean, I'm saying, people talk about me. I mean, I'm like a freaking rank amateur compared to him.
That is funny, but you got to have a couple screws loose to be successful and to want to win and to succeed at the highest level.
I don't know if it's screws loose, but you have to be a different type of personality. I mean, there's no question about that. I don't think I had any screws loose, but I was but I was, I was driven. Let's just say that, I just was hammered into me, it's about winning, on the professional level, it's about winning.
It's about the team
success. It's team success. It's not about you. That's why when I talk to teams sometimes, I was called in to talk to different teams. I said, look, if you guys want to have any chance to be successful this year, you have to do one thing, and you have to do it immediately. Take your ego and stick it in the freaking closet for 6 months, because this is not about you anymore. Mm-hmm. It's about this team and what you can do to help this team be successful. And if you take, every one of you takes that attitude and you work and pull together, that's why even on my ring, the word we have together is togetherness.
Really?
That's the word that we chose to put on our rings. And that's what it was. We were all together. We were like a big family, and that's what helped us to become a champion.
I love it. Well, that goes along with the 2015 Warriors' strength in numbers saying, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, strength in numbers, because but they were that team. The first championship they had 40 years later. I was writing for the San Francisco Examiner during that season, and I wrote a bunch of columns. And the one column I wrote about it was the similarities between that team and ours. Mm-hmm. They went deep. We went deep. I mean, most teams only have a 7 or 8 man rotation, mm-hmm. but the Warriors that year went fairly deep, and so they were very close. I looked at the stats. 2 top guys. There was Jamal Wilkes, who was Rookie of the Year that year. I mean, we didn't have any, the 2 veterans we had were Jeff Mullins and Bill Bridges at the end of their careers, who actually were willing to come off the bench. And they had that, and Lee and Iguodala.
And David Lee.
Thank you. I mean, So I'm just saying, you start looking at this thing, it's crazy. Look at the scoring totals between Steph Curry and Clay. Right?
Yeah.
And look at Jamal's and mine. It was like both. I mean, I'm telling you, it was unbelievable. The similarities between their team and our team when they won that first championship 40 years later. So it's pretty cool.
Okay, well, a couple of rapid fire questions. First thing that comes to mind: who was the hardest player that you ever had to guard?
All of them.
All.
Seriously.
Did one stand out above the rest?
No, the biggest problem I would have if I had to guard a big, strong guy who would post up.
Okay.
Because I wasn't a big, powerful guy, and so I had to try to use my quickness, try to get around, try to front him. The biggest problem I have is, I didn't have problems guarding guys. I mean, I used to love to guard Dr. J, and I used to love the guy because I was just quicker than most of those guys. But it was a big, strong guy. It would be the hardest thing for me because of his strength in the post.
Gotcha. Who was the toughest defender that ever guarded you?
Well, I had a lot of. Every time I stepped on the court, the other team's best defender was going to be guarding.
Yeah, you were the scouting report.
So they were the ones, which made it easy for me because I knew I could never go out and not be ready to play because I could get embarrassed because I'm going to have a guy who's totally committed to trying to play as hard as he can on me. The team's defense was set up to try to shut me down, which never happens. You can't shut down a scorer. This is when I hear these guys on television who are former players. Oh, he's a lockdown defender. I says, bullshit. There's no such thing as a lockdown defender if you're a scorer. I never ran into one, and so I'd laugh when I hear these guys say that. And so I had a lot of guys. I mean, Tom Hawkins was a guy for the Lakers when I came in as a rookie. He was supposed to be this really great defender. Dave DeBusschere is another one. Dick Van Arsdale was another one. I played against all of these guys. In fact, the guy that was most committed to playing defense against me to the point it hurt his team was E.C. Coleman, who was playing with the Jazz when they were in New Orleans. And he was on my team with the Rockets one year, so at least I never had to worry about him. But, of course, I wasn't the main guy at that time anyway. It didn't matter on the Rockets. So we were playing in the Superdome. I joked with my trainer, Dick DeOliva, a great guy. And I said, Dick, is the door locked? He said, no, why the hell would I lock the door? I said, because I know EC wants to come in here and get my jock with me. And so I'm walking off to a timeout, right? he's following me. I said, EC, I'm sorry, but you can't come to the huddle with me, okay? So
your skin.
No, but no, not into my skin. Just he was so locked in about guarding me to the point where you're here, I'm here. I have the ball. You're open. I give you the ball. EC, you got a wide open shot. He's not leaving me.
Yeah.
And that's not good team basketball, right? He's got to defend the ball. I mean, but if I pass the ball to an open teammate there and he's here, he's not going after you. He's staying with me. Great guy, liked him, but man, was he committed, you know. And then I played so many other ones. I laugh at some of the stuff, and I saw an article in Miami when I was in the ABA. Sparks will fly tonight. A guy named Dan Sparks played for the Miami Floridians. I said, Sparks are going to fly tonight. Okay. So anyway, I had a big game. So, I mean, it was great. I loved the challenge of having somebody that was a good defender, because I knew that I had to be ready to play, and I had to work hard. And here's the thing. Even a good defender, I might go out and get 30, 40 points against them. But if somebody else had been guarding me, I guarantee it would have been way more points. No, because I had to work so hard. If he can make me take 3, 4, 5 more shots to get that average that I had and everything, that's a good job.
Yeah.
You know, because he's not going to shut me down, and then you just have to hope that I'm having a bad game.
Yeah.
You know, that's like I joke when the same thing with Washington when we played him in the finals. Well, Mike Reardon could guard Barry. I said, what? I'm taller, faster, and quicker than him. How the hell is he going to guard me? So I had a couple of games. I remember one game I probably shouldn't have played. I was hurt, and I played, so I didn't have a particularly good game. Another game I didn't shoot particularly well. I mean, Mike didn't exactly shut me down in the finals, okay? In fact, they got so frustrated in Game 4, he tried to get me into a fight at the start of the game, threw an elbow at me at the jump ball, and then came over my back, and Al Attles got thrown out of the game. But, I mean, that's just part of what it is.
That's so funny. I think they do the same thing today with LeBron. They call all these big wings, they call them LeBron stoppers. But a lot of those guys are now playing with us in the Big Three, and LeBron's still going strong, year 20 in the NBA.
He had an amazing year at 38 years of age. Yeah, and he is a scorer. He's not a shooter by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, in fact, he's horrible, and I made a big deal about it. And you know, I always still remember that. The press, are you blaming the coaching staff? I said, hell yes, you got one of the greatest talents and skills. This guy's got so much amazing ability. I said, and he's got horrible shooting for him. He had this flying elbow out there. He was a terrible shooter when he first came in the league. Great scorer. Yeah. And he did get better, you know, after I made a big deal about it. His elbow came in, but he's never been a great shooter. Never. He's never been an 80% free throw shooter.
That's true. That's what he's always said is like
that's his Achilles heel. In fact, if you go for stats and everything, look at it, he's one of the top 3 guys in the history of the league for missed free throws in the last 2 minutes of a game. Do you know that?
I believe it.
Yeah,
I believe it.
He doesn't want to get to he didn't want to. See, I wanted to get fouled. When I drove. Because I figured I'm going to make some of them, and if I didn't, I'm going to make 2.
All right, this is the perfect segue, because this was one of the questions I had left on my list. You talk about free throw shooting. You had the iconic underhanded free throw stroke, and it was efficient. It worked. When you retired, you were...
Efficient is an understatement.
Efficient is a drastic understatement. Yeah. You led the league in free throw shooting 7 of your 14 years, and when you retired, your career 90% free throw percentage was the highest in NBA history.
Yeah, but I was better than that, actually, because I changed my technique late in my career. My last 6 years, and it would be the highest, my last 6 years I shot over 92%. My last 2 years I shot over 94%. And I brag about it because it's the only part of the game of basketball that you can be selfish and help your team.
So I'm curious, when did you start the underhanded?
High school. My father got me to change in high school. I don't know, it was before my junior or senior year. And I didn't want to do it because girls shot that way. And so, and I always remember like yesterday, son, they can't make fun of you if you're making them. And the first game I played, I remember that I was on the road. I was playing on the road in Scotch Plains, New Jersey. I was shooting free throws later in the game. Guy yells from the stands, Zach Birch, "Hey, Barry, you big sissy shooting like that." And I heard the guy next to him as clear as a bell, "Why are you making fun of him? He doesn't miss." And so I was cool from that point on. Didn't make any difference. And it's really funny. The best story about that is my son Canyon actually wanted to shoot and learned to shoot underhanded free throws, and he got up to 90% shooting. And he said, "Yeah, Dad, it was so funny." He said, "I'm on the road and the fans, were there in the student sections, whoever get on the players." And he misses a free throw. And he said, and the student section yells, "You're adopted, you're adopted." So he got a kick out of that one.
Well, why don't you think more players do that?
Ego, I guess. I don't know why. What the hell difference does it make how you shoot it? The object is put it in the damn basket at the highest efficiency possible.
Yeah.
I mean, so what difference does it make? I mean, what difference? And it's proven scientifically by physicists that it's the most efficient way to shoot a free throw, and guys won't do it. I can't believe, here's the thing that I can't believe in sports, and especially in basketball. You're getting paid now millions of dollars by your boss, and your boss says to you, well, the owner is the boss, I mean, and your coach is your boss too, you have to learn to shoot underhand free throws. I'm not doing that. Your boss tells you that you have to do something, and you're telling your boss, I'm not going to do it. Why would you not demand that your teammate, your player, learn to shoot the free throws that way to make him better, to help their team? Why do they have not guts enough to do that? Make a guy, if you're not an 80% free throw shooter, you are not a good free throw shooter. Yep. Okay? Yep. 70 is just like average. 70, you know, then you got 60s and you got 50s. If somebody's shooting in the 60s and the 50s or below that, they should be required to have to try the underhanded free throw.
That's one of the things, like you have a guy like Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, he had a broken hand. He could never have done overhand properly, but it would have been perfect for him because I took the wrist out of the shot, which would have been perfect for him.
Did you ever try to teach that?
No, he said, Rick, I'm a hip hop kind of guy. It'd be bad for my image. And he's too big for me to have argued with. And so, but why would they not demand it? I mean, you're paying a guy that kind of money and you're allowing him to tell what he's going to do and not do? I mean, seriously, think about this. In the real world, what employee, if the boss says you need to do this, says, I don't want to do that.
Say no.
Okay, well then here's the door.
Exactly, yeah. It's honestly mind-blowing.
It is. It's beyond my comprehension that people have not tried to do it. And like I was even shocked that Rick Pitino had the kid at Louisville when he was there. And he shot underhand free throws and all. Why in the world, if a guy decides... And why would he not have called me on the phone and said, Rick, can you come? This kid wants to do it. Can you come and work with him? Because his technique sucked. And he could have been way better, but he was willing to do it. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, why would you not? And even that case, how do you not say, no, you have to do this?
What's the secret to the form?
Shit.
Is there a secret to the form?
Yeah, well, yeah, you just have to put your hands over the ball properly, be relaxed. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing, and there's hardly any movement at all. And so, yeah, I just don't understand it. I really don't. I mean, hell, I couldn't even, I never worked on my kids to get them to have to do it. My son Brent did it and had his highest percentage ever, and then he switched back. But he was still 80-something% free throw shooter. And so I didn't get on him. But if they were in the 70s, I would have stayed on him like my father did to me. Son, you're doing yourself and the team a disservice. I said, you're not a good free throw shooter. But they're in the 80s, so I can't say they're not good. So that's a choice, okay? Yeah. I said, but my son Scooter said, Dad, it's hard enough being your son without shooting underhand free throws. I said, son, that may be true, but if you could shoot a higher percentage, you're doing yourself and your team a disservice.
Exactly.
And so I did, but John actually shot over 90 at one time overhand. So the fact that they were good shooters, and so I didn't stay on them. And my son Canyon was the one that really wanted to do it, and he's been good. He's been as high as 90%, and is in the he's certainly in the 80s, 85 or more.
Well, you alluded to your sons here. All 5 of your sons have played professional basketball.
Yeah, it's pretty remarkable. All 5 have got Division I college scholarships. I was hoping one of them would be good enough to play, and it's got to be. It's definitely a Guinness record for sure. And I don't think it'll ever be matched by. I don't know if it'll ever be matched to have a father who was a Hall of Fame basketball player have 5 sons all get Division I college scholarships. And play professional basketball, not in the NBA. I had 3 in the NBA. All 5 should have been. My son Scooter was the last cut by the Celtics. Bird and McHale said, Rick, your son should have made our team. So anyway, as I say, my sons, they were good players, and more importantly, as a father, good people. But I get so much joy out of watching them. I just watched my son, oh God, losing in a team. I can watch him. He was in freaking Macau playing. He plays in the USA 3x3 national team. He's been on 4 teams. They've won 3 gold medals and 1 silver medal. They almost won the World Championship, the World Cup again this year, and he's playing, hoping to try to get back to make the Olympics. He came so close to Japan. They won the World Cup. They had never won it before. It's the only gold medal USA never won, and they won it. And then he was on the America Cup teams. They won gold. He was MVP of one of the tournaments there, and he's trying to see if he can make it 2 days before the qualifying tournament, he slipped on the court and twisted his back and couldn't play, and they lost in the quarterfinals, and they didn't make the Olympics. And so that was a crushing thing for him. So I felt badly. He's trying one last thing to do it. Yeah. He gave up on full court. He got tired of being out and having stats better than guys making $7 million a year on the parent team who are shooting, 36 from twos, 26 from threes, 60-something from the free throw line, making $7 million. And my son is like 48%, 40% from threes, 85 from the free throw line, and can't get a 10-day contract. I mean, I'm telling you, the NBA sometimes, and I would say the same thing even if it wasn't my son. It's not because my son could play at the time. I mean, and now he's trying to make this here, but they get lost on a freaking total prayer. Jimmer Fredette's on the team. He makes they played terrible during one stretch there. He makes a jumper, and they go up by one, and it's 10 minutes, and they're at the clock. 4 seconds, the guy grabs it out of bounds because you don't have an official. You grab it and run. He runs out, goes to the three, behind the 2-point line. You get 2 for a shot there, and only 1 for a basket, and just throws up on one leg this way, throws up a freaking prayer. It swishes, and they lose in the quarterfinals in the tournament in Macau. So this was not a good day for me to start out with that, and so hopefully my team will find a way to win a game tonight.
Yeah, hopefully your Ball Hogs will get us a big dub tonight. I mean, we talk about we're here for 3-on-3. Your son's playing FIBA 3x3. We've had Kareem Maddox, one of your son's teammates, on the podcast last summer. FIBA 3x3, there's so much opportunity there, and I think it's the next big thing.
I don't know if it will be, because the really good players go play, here in the States especially, they're going to try to play and make all the big money. They're not paid any money. It's never going to become as big as it could become. I think it's, but the problem also is that the officiating is horrendous. It's mayhem. It's like street. I mean, you can get, if you did some of the things these guys do on the court, you get arrested on the street. I mean, they just beat the hell out of each other. Fouls aren't being called. I mean, it's sad the way that they let the game go and they officiate the game. It really is. It's crazy.
It's a very organic sport too, because we talk about a lot of the games are played outdoors. They're played in big cities and big venues in front of monuments like the Eiffel Tower, things like that. I think it bodes well for growing.
Well, it's interesting, and it's good, for the sport to have them do that. I mean, Dusan Bullard, who here, I drafted Dusan to get him on my team, and FIBA wouldn't let him play, and he went back and didn't play for me, and then he finally got fed up with it, and he came back and he played, but not for me. I said, way to go. Then you come in, you're one of the best players in the league. I mean,
one of the 3x3 legends.
Yeah, and I said, yeah, great. Because he was the best player in the world in 3x3.
That's true, yeah.
And, so anyway, it's fun. It's fun. It's a fun game. I have a great picture of Canyon going around Dusan in the World Cup back when they won the gold medal. They upset them in the first game of the tournament. They were ranked number 1 in the world, and the USA knocked them off in the first game of that World Cup. I think it was 2019. But I love watching my kids play, and so I still have the joy. So I said, son, that's fine. I said, I hope you can, hang in there, keep playing. I'm hoping you get a chance to have that Olympic dream to make that team, and I'd love to see that happen, because he's such a good kid, and he's just had such bad fortune as far as getting a chance to play, because I think he was good enough to play in the league, but he didn't get the chance. But everything in life happens for a reason.
Absolutely.
And he deals with it exceptionally well, and I'm not worried about his future. He works for L3 Harris, a big engineering firm that has a lot of military contracts, and my son has his master's in nuclear engineering, so I'm not worried about his future.
Goodness gracious. Well, maybe he'll add a gold medal in Paris in 24 to that.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I hope he gets a chance to be on that team and experience that. But it's my biggest disappointment in basketball is that I was never given the opportunity. I got to try out for the Olympic team back in 1964, and it was a bad experience, and it just shows you how politics get involved. I never really had a chance to make it, and I played, I thought, really well in the trials. And so that's my biggest disappointment in basketball, because I really would have loved to have been an Olympian. I mean, I got to stand one time with the USA jersey when we played a Russian team that had come over the Soviet Union back in those days in Indianapolis, and when that national anthem played and I'm standing there with USA on my chest, I mean, I can tell you it's the proudest moment of my life as being an American when I did that, because I was representing my country, and so that I was really disappointed. My son had an experience doing that because he did have USA on his chest, And I have great pictures of him doing it and see the emotion he had when that flag went up and they had the gold medal for winning the World Cup. That was a great thing for him. But I'd like to see him have the Olympic experience. But anyway, I have to run.
Absolutely.
So it was fun.
Thank you so much for the time.
Keep up the great job with my analytics, and hopefully my players will shoot well as a result of it and play defense and try to do some of the things that in the analytics that we know we have to do to win. So all the best to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rick. It's a pleasure. And I'll see you on the bench later today.
Okay.
All right.
It's everything. It's everything. The only goal I've ever set for pro basketball. That's everything. I only wish I was in a position to retire now because this would be the time.
Yeah, I think you got a little time. Rick, how did you really feel out there? When you knew you had the game won, what went through your mind at that moment?
Well, Oscar, it was trying to realize that it happened. I mean, this has been such a fantasy year. I mean, the way we started out is supposed to be also-rans, and we battled and scratched and fight our way to become the world champions. It's a fitting climax, I think, for one of the most unique teams in pro basketball history. A team that has guys who care about one another as individuals, guys who will never quit, never give up. I don't know how many teams have come from as many games behind as we have to wind up becoming champions of the world and beating a team 4 straight. That they were supposed to do that to us.
Now that's true.
It's the end to the most rewarding and fulfilling year of basketball in my life. I don't know how anything could possibly ever top it. The fans back home have been fantastic. We love them. They were a big factor in our getting this far.